Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. My name is Timothy, and on this channel we speak everything personal finance. And this is the biggest question that I've seen, that I've read about, and one of the biggest questions that I've always thought about is whether you should start paying off debt or saving. In today's video, I'm going to give you suggestions and ways that you can actually attack when it comes to paying off credit card debt or saving. So in today's video, we're going to break down this dilemma and find out which way makes more sense for you financially. This is a and or kind of question. You can save and pay off debt at the same time. Yes, it's going to be challenging to tackle both at the same time, but it is very possible. And the key is just really finding the balance for you. So before we make any decisions, we want to take a look at your financial situation. Everybody's financial situation is different. Some people might have $5,000 in credit card debt. Some people might have 10 or 20 or even $1,000 in credit card debt. All these different factors matter into what you should be doing with your finances. So we need to break down how much debt you have and how much savings you have. What are your monthly expenses? How much are you saving a month? Understanding where you are can guide your decision to whether you need to focus on paying off debt or if you need to focus on saving. Regardless of your debt situation, you need to focus on saving for emergencies. So building an emergency fund is your top priority. It's the first thing you want to do before we start tackling debt. Now, this emergency fund acts as a financial cushion for automobile issues or medical bills that come up, any emergencies that just happen. This is what this initial emergency fund is for. So there are really two plans that I know of, that I follow, that I'm pretty knowledgeable of. The plan that the Money Guys created and the plan that Dave Ramsey created. So they have the financial order of operations, which is the order of financial accomplishments and goals that you should strive to complete. And if you do, then you are most likely on a good path financially. First step of the financial order of operations is to at least save the highest insurance deductible. So if your highest insurance deductible is $4,000 for health insurance, then you want to save $4,000 first before you get to paying off any debt. And if you don't want to do the highest insurance deductible, then I recommend that you save at least 1 month of your income. And as for Dave Ramsey, his first step is to save $1,000. Now, $1,000 might not cover a lot, but it is also just a great way to start. That's kind of where I started. I never saved $1,000 when I was in college. Then I learned about Dave Ramsey, and the first step was to save $1,000. So I did that, and it felt really good to have that emergency fund, to have that buffer if anything happened. If my tire went out, I can dip into my emergency fund and pay for my tire to get fixed or pay for a new tire. So save your insurance deductible first, or you can save 1 month of your income, or you can save $1,000, which will also suffice. And while you're building your emergency fund, you don't want to miss out on free money. When I say free money, I'm talking about your 401k plan, which is a retirement plan offered by an employer, and a lot of times your employer will match you depending on how much you put into your 401k plan. So for example, in my job, my employer matches me at 5%. So if I put 5% of my income into my 401k, and they will match me, and in total that will be about 10% that's going towards my 401k. So this match will significantly boost your retirement. You just want to continue to invest to your 401k, especially if you're getting a match. So now that you have your emergency saved up, whether it takes a month, 3 months, 2 months, or 4 months, however long it takes, you should just continue to pay your minimums on your credit card until you get your emergency fund saved up, because we don't want to continue to use these credit cards when emergencies come. You want to save up your small emergency fund as quickly as possible, and then we want to figure out a plan of how we're going to pay this debt off. There are two methods that I know of that help you pay off credit card debt fast, and that is the snowball and the avalanche method. The snowball method is paying off the lowest amount of credit card debt and then snowballing that money to the next and to the next. So say your credit card debts are at $1,000 and you have another credit card that's at $2,000 and you have one that's at $3,000. So you want to put as much money as you can to your $1,000 credit card debt, and then you want to pay the minimums on the $2,000 and the $3,000 credit card debt. Once the $1,000 is paid off, it's done and clear. You then put that money to the $2,000 credit card debt, and then you continue to pay the minimums on the $3,000 credit card debt until the $2,000 is paid off, and then you snowball it and you continue to snowball it. The avalanche method is a method where you're going to pay the least amount of interest. So if you have credit card debt where you have one credit card has 20% interest and the other one has 30% interest, no matter how much is on the 30% interest card or the 20% interest card, you're going to pay off the 30% interest card first. So you want to put as much money to that 30% interest, so you're paying less in interest as you pay that card down. You're going to put the minimum payment to the 20% interest, and once the 30% interest is paid off, you're going to then move on to the 20% interest. You're going to continue to pay off the lower and lower interest as time goes on, but you want to start off with paying off the highest interest rate card first. The key to the snowball and the avalanche method is consistency. You want to be consistent in everything you do, and this is especially true for when it comes to paying off credit card debt. Now, me personally, I have never really been in bad credit card debt. I did have about $10,000 on a card, but that's because I paid for a roof and a house, and I had 0% APR for about 12 months. So I was focused on paying this card off. It wasn't a hair on fire kind of deal, but I was putting a certain amount of money to this credit card because I knew I wanted to be out of credit card debt before this 12 months is over. So it just depends how focused you are on paying off credit card debt of how hard you should be going. I personally recommend you get out of credit card debt as soon as possible. So you may want to cut out fun for a little bit. You may want to cut cut out going out to eat. You may want to cut out these extra expenses that aren't going to credit card debt. And then make a commitment to not get back in debt. Paying off debt is extremely rewarding. And being debt free is an extremely powerful thing, especially when it comes to your finances. So it's crucial to not fall back into the trap of credit card debt. And this is when saving starts coming in, and you can start saving for a bigger emergency fund. So really you want to see, why were you in credit card debt? Why were you spending money on these things that probably didn't bring you any value? Were you living beyond your means? And if so, you need to start living below your means. And it may sound easier than it actually is, but you have to really focus on what's important in your life. So living below your means might mean that you need to start saving for cash for big purchases rather than taking out a loan, rather than financing them with credit cards. So now that your debt is paid off, it's time to focus on saving. This is the best part right here. You had this journey, this 6 month, this year, this 2-year journey, and you paid off all your credit card debt. You now see why it's important to not have credit card debt, so you can start building towards a better financial future. Now you can start saving for a bigger emergency fund than what you have for that 1 month of emergency. So for your emergency fund, you want to aim to 3 to 6 months or a year. It all depends on your situation. If you have a pretty stable job, if you have a 2 household income, then you can probably save for 3 months. If you have a 1 household income, if you have a job that has commissions or a job that's not as stable, you might want to save for a 6 month, 12 month emergency fund. It's all really personal to your financial situation, and there's not one size that fits all. Now that you have more disposable income, because you don't have minimums that are going to credit cards, or you're not paying off chunks of credit cards anymore, after you get your emergency fund funded, then you can now start putting more money towards retirement, like your 401ks, your Roth IRAs. Hopefully you can start getting up to retirement savings between 15 to 25% of your income. The earlier you start retirement, the more you benefit from compound interest. So for an example, say your account starts at $0 and you save $500 a month and you invested it into something like the S&P 500, which has historically given you a return of about 7%, but we're going to use 8% in this example. So if you save for 10 years, you will have $91,000 into your retirement account. Right here is the power of compound interest and why you need to pay these credit cards off as soon as possible and not just dabble in them. So say you start with $0 in your retirement account, but you have 25 years until you retire and you're putting $500, the same amount, and you get an annual return of about 8%, you would have about $475,000 into your retirement account. So compound interest is super important, and paying off this credit card debt is super important. So you want to pay it off as soon as possible. Don't play around with it. Cut expenses, cut all the extra things that you don't really need in your life while you pay these credit cards off, so you can start saving for retirement as soon as possible. The good news is that you don't need to decide whether you need to pay off credit card debt first or save first, because you can do both at the same time. Start by building a small emergency fund, $1,000 to $4,000, $5,000 for a small emergency fund, and then contribute to your 401k match. Then focus on paying off this credit card debt. Throw as much money as you can at this credit card debt and get out of it as soon as possible, so we can begin to benefit from compound interest. This balanced approach will help you build a strong foundation when tackling debt. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, leave a like and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one.